Opus 22 is interesting. It was a special favorite of his, even though it's definitely not one of the sonatas which is more played these days. I can hardly recall actually hearing a live performance of it that I wasn't playing. And however you break down Beethoven's compositional lifespan, very often people talk about 3 or 4 periods. I definitely think that this is somehow, it represents the end of a first chapter of his ideas of sonata writing. It's the 13th one he wrote, even though it's called number 11. The Opus 49 sonatas were published later, even though they were written earlier. And it not only incorporates, but I would say summarizes or perfects many of the things that he had been working on up to that point. The form has been fully laid out already. The extremely sort of witty, sparkling first movement, much like Opus 2 number 2, or Opus 2 number 3, Opus 7, any number of them, 10 number 3, and then a slow movement of really almost, I would say, almost operatic beauty. Never again was he to go back to that sort of operatic quality in such a pure way. I mean, there are pieces like Opus 31 number 1 has a slow movement which is very operatic, but then it almost has an element of parody about it. There's a purity in this which really represents the early period in which, having done it so unbelievably flawlessly in this piece, he really sort of left that style behind. The same is true of the last movements. The minuet has an old world quality about it, and the last movement is a grazioso rondo in the way that was again Opus 2 number 2 has a similar one. There's several examples of them. Opus 7 again, but he just didn't return to that form again. So this is probably the last time in Beethoven's compositional output that you can sort of see a clear line being drawn, and then from Opus 26 we're on to something totally different.